Record. All right, we're recording. So here's our presentation from Group 21 about Google Flutter.
All right, so for the intro, Google Flutter was originally released in May of 2017. And what it does is it allows you to create a mobile app with one code base. And basically what this means is you can use one programming language to create an app for iOS and for Android. And in order to use Flutter, you have to use a programming language developed by Google, which is called Dart. And Dart is mainly used for front-end development, and it's an object-oriented language, similar syntax to JavaScript. And we're going to talk more about that later. And Flutter consists of two parts, which is a software development kit, which is a collection of tools that are going to help you develop your app. And then also a framework, which is just a collection of like widgets, buttons, text inputs, sliders, and all that.
Okay, so for the supported platforms for Flutter, Flutter has three different categories of platforms that they use to organize like the type of support that is available. And so the first one is Google tested platforms, which are the platforms where it's tested automatically at every commit by the development team. And then next, there's the best effort platform, which is supported through community testing. It's still like supported through Flutter, but the development team doesn't directly check it like on a regular basis. And then there are the unsupported platforms, which are the platforms that like may or may not work, but the development team itself, like they do not directly test or support these platforms. And some supported platforms by Flutter include iOS 11 and above, Chrome 84 and above, Android 4.1 and above, and Windows 7 and above. And like it was mentioned earlier, like the great thing about Flutter is that it allows for cross-platform access, which means that like the same code can be reused across multiple platforms. And the difference between Flutter and other toolkits that allow for cross-platform is that the applications on different platforms will look like its native application, meaning like um, even when like the majority of the same code is being used for different platforms, the functionality and appearance of the application itself will still feel like as if it was built for that specific platform. This is going to be explained using like through widgets, which we'll talk more about later. And then not only is Flutter supporting mobile platforms, but it also supports web and desktop applications as well.
Widgets. When it comes to creating a mobile app with Google Flutter, widgets are everything a user can see in an app's UI. Widgets can have functionality or simply be there for visual effect. The main categories of widgets are accessibility, animation, async, basics, input, Cupertino, and many other types, all of which are categorized by their functionality. Accessibility are widgets that make the Flutter app more accessible. Animation and motion are widgets that add animation to other widgets. Async widgets are responsible for interpreting streams of data. Basic widgets are the core essentials for app building and includes buttons, text, and containers. Input are widgets that take a user input, such as text inputs. Cupertinos are widgets designed specifically for iOS, such as iOS buttons, dialog pop-ups, and iOS time and date pickers. And while this does not cover all the widgets, it shows how versatile Google Flutter is with its high amount of widgets and its ability to be compatible with almost any mobile device in app development.
So Dart is a free and open source client-optimized language for fast apps on any platform built by Google. It is optimized for UI and built on the idea of productive development, which means you can make changes iteratively by using the hot reload feature to see the results instantaneously in your running app. Dart is also able to compile in ARM and x64 machine code for mobile, desktop, and backend applications, while it can also be compiled in JavaScript for web. Dart shares similarities with languages like Kotlin and Swift, while also having some other features. This makes it easy for mobile app developers to easily transition to Dart and use it for Flutter. And the biggest feature with this language is its ability to write front-end and back-end code all with the same language. So Dart is also a safe language, safe type, a type-safe language that uses static type checking to ensure variable values always match their static type. And it also offers sound null safety, meaning that values cannot be null unless you say they can be.
So let's compare the Flutter and React Native. So we already know that Dart is the programming language of Flutter, and about the React Native, it has similar usage, but it uses Java. We all know that Dart has its advantages and disadvantages. It is the fastest growing program language in the world, and it is easy to understand. But JavaScript is still the programming language of choice for developers. So this is the difference of programming language. And about the technical architecture. Using a bridge to communicate with native models may result in poor performance. Flutter itself has most of the native models in the framework, so it doesn't need a bridge to communicate. So that React Native use a JavaScript bridge to communicate with native modules. So this is the advantage of Flutter. And the last one, the cross platform app development. For this, Flutter has good automation tooling and can be used to deploy applications from command lines, but the React Native lacks command line interface support for building automation.
So Flutter is relatively limited in number of technology it can deploy because the result of few third-party package and library. Limitation come from the framework license on Dart as a language for development. Since Dart forced Flutter developers look outside of many available JavaScript tool and library already available, they may be able to deploy for the application. Even with the latest Flutter 2.0 technology is still only capable of targeting limited number of platforms in comparison to other technology, even native development.
All right, so to wrap things up here, I'll go over what we just talked about. So we talked about the supported platforms of Flutter, what widgets they have, the language, Dart, obviously, about Flutter and React Native, and also a couple of limitations. We hope you found our presentation informative and interesting, and we thank you for listening. And on the next page is our bibliography. Right here, you can see all of our sources. Thank you very much. I stop recording.